Citizens Advice Bureau, which is a charity without genuine concern without concern, yes, but not genuine care. So concern is a formal thing, care is a more an informal thing. So genuine care are supposed to be founded as nurses and doctors and medical staff. Genuine care is supposed to be those that are practicing real virtues in Christ, not the witches and the wizards who go behind the scene and pretend to be your friend with the smiles on their faces like this. So it's annoying. So how great is the prosperity of these criminals who are looking decent when in fact, when you find out they're nothing but decent, they have their own agenda for the world. They're globalists. So who are globalists? Those are in the left, and those that are mixed up with the left and the right. And they sound so right. They sound so, prim and proper. They sound so perfected in the moral stance of things. But when you actually get to know them behind the scenes, behind the closed doors, and what they're actually like in their private lives, it is a monster. It's a monstrosity. They do the opposite of what they preach. They don't practice what they preach, in other words. Then there is my daughter, for example. I'm not looking only at the three men. So all happens, I speak to her 4 times a year. When a certain season comes, she forgets. So what would help it would help her if she remembered me for Christ, but it doesn't help me. It crucifies me through Christ all over again. It's better for me to forget about my daughter and say to myself, put the demon to rest. She's dead to me. She's dead. She's dead. She's dead. Even though she's alive. She doesn't do me any favours for my daughter to remember me over and over again. It would be better of her to be dead. Because she's disowned me as her mum. Because she's forced to do so. And she has the mark of the beast. And there's only one season out of the 4 seasons that she can approach me on God's throne through Jesus Christ to be so that I could be remembered. But it does me no good. It actually attacks me because I feel as if she's a baby in an almost adult body. It's as if she's gone back in time to a toddler, a newborn baby. So it doesn't help me. She's supposed to have been maturing spiritually and physically. She's physically underdeveloped. And she's spiritually underdeveloped, immature. And so it doesn't help me. How on earth am I going to fix this problem of the damage that they have caused and drained my daughter? They've drained her by bribing her with lots of new things. And when the novelty wears off, she's only going to go back to square one. A dysfunction. It doesn't matter if it's the daytime or the nighttime. They've damaged my daughter to say that I'm not safe and that she's safe with them because, again, it's the same thing. They have more weapons, more social, and more money than me. So what is that? Is that the far right? Is that the far right capitalism, or is that more of a far left capitalism? Or is it a mixture of both? I don't think there is no such thing as a positive capitalist because they are slave masters. And if there is a positive thing about money, is being rich, as in the example of Father Abraham, but loving God and the principle of doing what's regarded as right and being rich like that, rather than being made rich by the wrong that I have done. So they're actually earning money on somebody else's suffering, on somebody else's labour, on somebody else's slavery. So this is what I mean by capitalism and colonialism, where they steal the land, steal the people's belongings, and to obsess and possess about them, which is a darkness in my daughter's life and in my life too. So I cannot tell the difference whether it's day and night in connection to my emotional bonding with my daughter that's totally destroyed. As if she's dead to me, and I had to accept that, which is terrible. At least if I had a dead child, I could move on by now and put bygones be bygones. It's in the past, and I can remember her once a year. But she wants to remember me 20 times, 200 times a year, and I cannot fix the problems which they have caused on psychological abuse and baggage on my daughter. I cannot fix that problem. So when you go to stone to remember your loved one, you can put that loved one's spirit to rest and remember the happy things. But when you have the living dead, you only remember the bad things, and you cannot fix bad things. It's overwhelming from all the problems they created. So what my daughter can do is looking at her art. That is evidence that she had a comfortable home. If there was no art, there was and such intricate detail in her ability to create such beautiful art, then know that she's damaged goods. Because she had done such beautiful art since she was with me and when it all started, and music which they have destroyed, it goes to show she comes from a happy home. And it's something that she enjoyed and she was comfortable at home, but they destroyed that. They've put a nightmarish existence in her mind that while she was with me to demonize me in order to credit themselves and discredit me. So that's the only thing that my daughter has, at least once a year, to demonstrate and display her ability in art. And in future, I hope God's judgment and her awaiting her final redemption, to see if she would come to repentance and reformation. As for others who are toxic, versus me being intoxicated by God's love, is they're abusing my compensation. Who is they? So the example of the fact that I have said things about my ex-mother-in-law and my daughter's current boyfriend, whose name sounds like Tosser. They're looking to block my human rights and my compensation for human rights. Because I have said I have not seen my daughter's boyfriend. He has no right to conquer my daughter's virginity. My daughter is not depending on him. She's not in a committed relationship. 2 years is not enough to have sex with. Because he's unemployed. What hypocrisy! How can he take care of my daughter if she's accidentally pregnant? If I suddenly mention him, my daughter's boyfriend, he's more important than I am. He's going to undo my human rights because I won't allow her to get married or have sex with him. So that's how they're attacking me. So she's a teenager and she could have sex when she's 17 if she wants to. It's only natural. So it's a sexist. No, it is a humanist thing to teach my daughter to behave as an animal. No strings attached. You can have casual sex or open sex every 2 or 3 years, and after sex, divorce. Idiots. So how are they removing my human right? As in the example of my ex-mother-in-law, she knows she's guilty. She has sinned against me and her ancestors. Her fathers, particularly her fathers and her mothers, are against God, and they're all an atheist. So where this atheism comes from, it's not my granddad, like in-law, it is my mother-in-law. So they're like old people. They're in their 80s and 90s, which is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. To say I have these old people. What I mean by old is that they are so stuck in their ways and in their minds they would never be open-minded, compared to other old people that are open-minded, and they're not tunnel vision. They are open-minded. So it's not the case of me disrespecting my elders and those who are senior. It is the fact that she is stealing my children because of capitalism and because of the evil majority that have expressed my daughter is better off without me. Including this woman, more evidence, who said she wants to see me as my foster mum, whose name is Anne, and left me, and she's been left wandering in the desert now, because I have said, why would I see you when you've ignored me for nearly 9 years of my life? Why would you want to see me now that my daughter's turning 18? And it is to put me back into the exile. It's to put her into the control of my relationship with my daughter. That's why she wants to see me. An onslaught in the darkness to take the opportunity to say, oh well, the deepest distress that would cause me to say this foster mum never actually cared about me, and this foster mum actually put me under the roof of her house as a stranger and refused me to be in contact with any of her family members who did like me and did ask for me. So it's deeply hurtful, and the illustration of what I've done in my YouTube about that. And I've also confronted her on it, said she can email me, she can write to me a response as to acknowledging how hurtful her behaviour was towards me, and how she's wandering in a desert somewhere, or in a no man's land somewhere, waiting for me to arrive. And I'm saying, God has broken my chains of slavery, and they want to enslave me all over again. She's also said any money that I owe her, she doesn't want it, and I'm saying it doesn't feel right for me. Any money she's given me as a gift, I want to give it back, because I don't feel that she actually cared about me. So that's what I'm addressing, that she didn't give me her address for her new home. This woman who is in her, she'll be 90 something now. She's 80 or 90. She's late 80s, 90s, as my foster mum. So how can I consider that I could trust this individual when that hasn't been acknowledged, to say that I don't really want to meet this individual who is not acknowledging how I'm being hurt as a result of what the local authorities have done to me and my daughter. So I meditate on what I have said regarding God being my judge. And this woman named Anne also knows that. So she has an opportunity to meditate on God and think about it, consider her address and consider her response. That it's not a dream, it's a reality check. And so she treats me like a dream, as if I'm some type of fantasy. And yet she belongs to the far-right government. She's a conservative, and she's behaving as the far-left government again. So is it... So then there is... These are the enemies of God. And my enemies are God's enemies. God's enemies are my enemies. Full stop. And the perspective on to have this deliverance and this freedom and the restoration of my human rights seems almost impossible. So this is video completed. The example of who they are. I'm too tired now to put on YouTube. Or should I do it? Because I wanted to get on with other things and not waste any more time. I'll probably wait until another day, as a clear picture of cats behaving as dogs and those who are possessed by demon possession or possession. In closing, my Maria and my new name Mimaha Punch.